welcome to the garden. Today I'm going to be using some unseasonably warm weather to clean up around the vegetable garden and plant some seeds that I forgot to plant this autumn. I have quite a few wildflower seeds here. I have some milkweed, some oxeye daisies, even some things like thistle. Probably won't plant those this year. But with a lot of the snow starting to melt, we've actually got some bare ground to plant some seeds. The ground is definitely still frozen, so we won't be able to dig, but I can scatter seeds on the surface and they'll actually stratify naturally. Stratification is how seeds in cold climates survive the winter. They actually need that period of cold in order to germinate properly. Without it, they won't even sprout. A few flowers that absolutely need to be stratified are Echinacea and milkweed. Their seeds just float around in the wind really easily, so these are going to be easier to plant if we get rid of the fluff. And I think we can do that with a lighter. Let's see. Woo! There they go. That was cool. So now down here are all the seeds. How handy is that? So with this batch, I'm just going to scatter them under the leaf litter and let them stratify naturally outdoors. But you can also do this inside. I have here some swamp milkweed that we collected from the front garden. So we're going to wet stratify these. And I'm going to start with just a little bit of potting soil. This is optional. It's just something that I like to do to try and mimic their natural environment. Then we can add a whole bunch of moisture. They're not going to germinate because of those cold temps. They really need to warm up after a period of cold to sprout. Now this I'm going to seal up with a little bit of air. And you can put these in the fridge or in the freezer, which might be a little too harsh. I like to use a freezer on a mini fridge. It's kind of frozen, but it's not frozen solid. So that's actually just about perfect. And these need to stay cold for at least 3 months. So by springtime, they'll be ready. Even though the ground is frozen, we should be able to remove some of this surface material. Just the mulch and the dried leaves and sticks. We really want these seeds to have good contact with that soil. They need to be wet. So if they're above the soil on these leaves, they might actually stay too dry. A lot of seeds actually don't even need to be buried. So this may not seem ideal, but it can actually benefit quite a few seeds, especially the smaller ones. The larger ones, if you like, you can just top with a little bit of that potting soil, just like that. And then we'll just cover them back up. That'll keep them moist. Next time it snows, that'll all melt down and freeze them solid into the ground. So they'll just spend the rest of the winter right here and wet stratify naturally. And hopefully in spring they'll sprout right away. Besides the planting, I've actually got a few seeds to collect. These carrot seeds, I just forgot to collect last autumn. So we'll save the rest of these. The ones that already dropped probably will sprout next spring. So they're starting to self-sow, which is something I really love. And this one's still just packed with seeds. So we'll have plenty of carrots next year. I like to use a paper envelope. That way they stay relatively dry. I've also got some broccoli seeds to collect. It actually still looks green in some spots. I I did get to my leeks, but I forgot the mint. So I'm just going to cut that all the way back to the bottom. The seeds are right up here in these little spires, just like basil. Before we go, I thought we'd take a look at some of the plants that are actually still green. This is parsley from last year. There's actually quite a bit of green parsley. I have some spinach down here that I left, which is surprisingly still green. That's pretty awesome. And look at this little leaf poking through the ice. That's incredible. I left out a few onions. Those actually look really nice. Look at those green leaves. But the biggest success is this kale. I know I should probably eat more kale, but I left it out, and look at that. That looks good enough to eat. That's pretty amazing. I'm really hoping that this is going to survive the winter and then flower next spring, and I'll be able to collect a whole bunch of seeds. Looks like I forgot some blackberry lily seeds too. These are those beautiful orange flowers. But I'll probably just scatter these around, just like our milkweed. I'm not sure if these ones need to be stratified, but I'm pretty sure the seeds can survive the winter. And we wrapped up our planting just in time. We got a fresh coat of snow and sub-zero temperatures. So our seeds are going to stratify naturally. So I hope you give this a go in your garden. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.